My wife handed me divorce papers at my father's funeral. Beside her, my kids, ready to drop our name. Behind her, my trusted partner, smirking. Months of secret dinners, hidden texts, midnight log-ins. The unthinkable. Confirmed. But I set a trap while she tried to turn our kids against me. That night, my kids looked at Grandpa's photo, then at me, and said 6 words that changed everything. For the full story, hit the link below.